If there's one skill you need as an entrepreneur, the one skill you can't do without, you better learn how to sell. And if you're anything like me, when I was leaving my job for the first time to go into business, I hated selling. And if you have that same feeling, then you absolutely have to learn to sell. Selling is probably the one most essential skill you're going to have to learn to overcome in your journey towards entrepreneurship. Because if you don't sell, putting it plainly, you're not going to survive. You're not going to be able to generate income. You're not going to be able to pay your bills. You're not going to be able to invest. You're not going to be able to do anything if you cannot make revenue. And the only way you do that is through selling in some form or fashion. So I had to learn to sell. I didn't like it. I didn't like the thought of rejection, being rejected by people. I didn't like the feeling that I was trying to convince people to buy my services and my product. Eventually, I had a change in my mindset that reframed selling for me. I used to only see selling as transactional. And the truth is, many of you starting off in entrepreneurship will also see selling as being transactional. And while some element of it is transactional, you have to reframe how you think about selling from being a transaction to being more than a transaction. So you have to see selling as service. I think this became my mantra when I really learned how to sell. See selling as service. See selling as an exchange of value for the reward of income. And when you see selling as service, you get a different appreciation for your client need and for the solution that you're offering. So selling as service is being able to offer value to your client, being able to offer a solution to a problem that they may have. And in most instances, people think, well, why should I offer the solution for free when I could get paid for it? But there's a bigger picture to it. And the bigger picture is building trust with your client, in that you want to be able to have lifetime value or near lifetime value out of that client. You don't want to be in a business where a client buys from you once and every month you have to constantly be looking for a new client. You want to be able to serve that client over and over and to extract from them the reward of that service over a prolonged period of time. So how you accomplish that is by building trust. Building trust begins with solving a small problem or a small part of their problem for free, essentially. Offering an advice, pointing them in a direction that you may not immediately be able to service. Those actions and those attributes build trust with your client. And when you do that exchange of value, you begin to demonstrate to your client that you are capable, that you have what it takes, that your solution is the ideal solution. I know for many professionals transitioning into entrepreneurship, it certainly was for me a very uncomfortable activity doing sales. But as I indicated, Len is not about trying to convince anybody to buy anything from you. Most people see, or most clients, if they are approached in that manner, they feel a sense of manipulation. And selling is not about manipulation. It's about helping the right people find your solution. So I want to identify some steps you could take to improve your selling. And that is, number one, reframe your selling as service, not as persuasion. The goal is not to persuade anybody to buy anything from you. The goal is to serve. And if you reframe your mindset or your concept of sales as service, you begin to really appreciate your own solution, what you have to offer. Your client begin to see you in a different light, and your client begin to trust you. And over time, once you continue to serve with good value and ideal solutions, you develop that repeat customer cycle. So your client will be continuously coming to you. Sometimes the problem they have might not even be what you specialize in. But because you have built up that trust with them, they feel trusting enough to continue to come to you. And in a case like that, if you don't have the solution for them, there's no harm in pointing them in another direction or to someone else who might have that solution for them. That too also builds credibility and trust with your clients because they begin to see that you really care about them and about the problems and the solutions that they are facing. The second step to develop your sales or your selling is to initially sell to your network, to people who already know you, to people who already trust you. By approaching your network first, you open yourself for constructive criticism, for guidance, because you know these people already care about you. They more than likely are not going to tell you things that won't benefit you. There's a flip side to this too, in that people, because they already know you, will automatically be inclined to purchase from you. So they don't give you constructive feedback. They don't point out things that could be beneficial to you. Sometimes they even tell you things that they think you want to hear or that you think you may want to hear. So you're not being pushed or stretched to develop. That could also happen when you sell directly to your network. But it's a useful step. In some cases, it could be beneficial to you because there are some people in your network who won't hesitate to tear you to shreds if they think what you're offering is not up to scratch. So you want to tap into those type of people. And you have to see beyond the concept of fight down and he don't really support me or he jealous or he envious of me because look at the negative things he have to say about me. Start to see those kind of feedback as constructive. Just look a little deeper into what you're doing and to assess and see, well, maybe they might have a point. Maybe my service or my product is not good enough. See it for what it is. And if you have any sort of intuition or emotional intelligence, you can tell when someone is being genuine and when someone is just being malicious. So utilize your network. Start selling to your network first. They are the people who you trust and who trust you. And more than likely, most times, they will give you an honest feedback. Other times, you may get a negative feedback or a malicious feedback. Take it for what it is. The third step in improving your selling is to practice explaining exactly what you do in a way that excites the people who you're doing it for. So practice your sales pitch. You know, there is this term called an elevator pitch in entrepreneurship. And what it basically is that it challenges the entrepreneur to be able to explain their business concept to the full understanding of a potential investor in the time that it would take to ride an elevator from the ground floor to whatever floor you're getting off on in the building. And that's where the concept elevator pitch come about. You must be able to do it quickly, concisely, you must be able to understand it, and you must be able to put it over in such a way that it sets you up for a further meeting where you can now scrutinize in greater detail. And that's what you need to do when you start your business. You need to start practicing, explaining exactly what you're doing to the people who you're doing it for. So practice your pitch, refine and redefine your pitch over and over, and your sales proposition and your unique selling points. Refine it, keep rehearsing it, practice imaginary phone calls, practice imaginary face-to-faces. Get your spouse or your friends or your children, keep them in front of you, and you practice selling your product or service. Every opportunity you get to put over your pitch, do it. You're making a post, a video, tell your pitch. I am a business coach, and I help professionals and employees transition to entrepreneurship through one-to-one and group coaching sessions. That's my pitch in a nutshell, right? And I have to keep practicing and refining and defining my pitch. Part of my expertise, I have 20 years experience as an entrepreneur. I'm MBA qualified. Practice your pitch. And when you keep practicing your pitch, you become better and better at it. So when you encounter a potential client, whether it's online or in person, the moment they ask you, so what do you do exactly? You're able to tell them with confidence. You're able to tell them quickly. You're able to put it over clearly and concisely. And they know that you know what you are talking about. And if they have enough faith in your solution, they will engage you further. So I want to leave that with you. Those are the 3 things that you could do to develop your sales. As I said, sales is the most essential skill that you will have to learn as an entrepreneur. You're going to have to put aside the fear of rejection, the fear of feeling uncomfortable, the thoughts of manipulating people. You're going to have to see sales as a service, right? That's the first thing. Reframe how you see sales and see sales as service. Serving your customer, serving your client, solving a solution that they have, giving value away for free so that you encourage them to trust you and to come back to you and to develop that lifetime sales cycle or sales benefit from your customer. Right? Then you're going to have to start selling to the people who you already know and trust, people within your network, people who will give you constructive criticism, people who might even be negative and malicious towards you in terms of what you're doing. You want to embrace both. And finally, you need to start to practice selling, practice your pitch, practice your proposition to the people who you intend to sell it to. Your business depends on your ability to sell it. I can't put it over any differently. Your business depends on your ability to sell. And if you master selling, then you're going to have a successful business. As a professional transitioning into entrepreneurship, it could be difficult because you're leaving the comfort of a 9-to-5 job with a guaranteed monthly salary and you stepping out into the unknown. Part of that unknown is knowing where the sales are going to come from. As I mentioned in a previous video, your expertise and your talent, your skills is not merely enough to get you over. You need to learn essential business skills. And selling is probably the key business skill that you need to learn. So I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Coaching in the Car. We talked about sales and selling and why it is essential to your transition into entrepreneurship. And if you found this video useful and insightful to you, I want to ask you to like it and share it. And if you have not already, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, Becoming an Entrepreneur with Aquino Davis. All right. I also write a newsletter every week where I share strategies for professionals transitioning into entrepreneurship. The link is in the show notes. And I post every single day religiously on LinkedIn, sharing little tips and bites of these videos. And I look forward to sharing with you and to help you transition successfully into entrepreneurship. Until the next video,